from RF-SMART. This is Taking Inventory, a podcast all about better controlling your supply chain and improving inventory management. And now, your host, Sarah Archer.
Hello, welcome back to Taking Inventory with RF-SMART. My name is Sarah Archer and I am your host. And today I am joined by James Newell from Tuff Stuff Fitness. We are going to be talking about how James and Tuff Stuff have been utilizing the RF-SMART knowledge base and how they've been able to solve some challenges that they may have faced. And so I think the best way for us to get started today is just for James to go ahead and introduce himself. So James, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Tuff Stuff.
My name is James Newell. I'm a product cost analyst with Tuff Stuff Fitness. I've worked there for just under a year, and I am also a NetSuite administrator, and I am the primary RF-SMART administrator for our systems. Tuff Stuff Fitness came into operation in 1971. It's been family-owned and operated since that time. They introduced the first freestanding home gym in 1982. And have continued to manufacture in the United States all commercial products, and we continue to manufacture home gyms and other lines that are intended for home and personal use as well.
And so are you distributing and manufacturing as a part of your business?
Yes, we are.
What functions of RF-SMART are you using in your distribution and manufacturing processes?
In our distribution, we use RF-SMART's warehouse management system, where we use the cycle counting features. We use the pick and pack features, and we also use RF-SMART for receiving all of our purchase orders.
James, I know that you just got started at Tuff Stuff in January, but as many of our customers experienced in the last year and a half, I know that the home fitness industry has had a huge boom. Did you guys stay really busy through that? And how is your ERP implementation as well as your RF-SMART implementation, how has that affected your ability to get inventory out?
With our ERP and RF-SMART implementation, we have been able to maintain our course of business and our speed of business. We still have one of the shortest lead times in the fitness industry for our domestically produced products, and we are continuing to strive and meet all the challenges that we're faced with through all of these times. And RF-SMART and NetSuite both have been huge helps in getting all of this accomplished.
Well, James, thank you so much for being here. Before we get started on our topic today, can you just give us a little bit of the backstory about why Tuff Stuff chose NetSuite and RF-SMART?
The decision to go with NetSuite was made shortly before I started working there. And as we were continuing through our implementation process, we realized that we needed more to get the functionality we wanted out of NetSuite. And as we started to search for those options, we found RF-SMART, and RF-SMART came highly recommended from our NetSuite partners. And all of our contact with RF-SMART from day one has been phenomenal.
I am so glad to hear that RF-SMART was exactly what you guys were looking for. I know that as you were in that process of implementing and going live with RF-SMART, there was a lot of questions that came up for you, and then you have been able to use the RF-SMART knowledge base to help answer those questions. So I thought that we would just start by talking about why we have a knowledge base. And really, it has been something that has existed at RF-SMART for a long time, but really in the last couple of years, we did a refresh to our knowledge base to make it even more user-friendly and to include way more articles as a way to help our customers in situations like ones that James will describe today, where they are really busy and they may need to solve a problem fast, or they have a question about the interface, or perhaps they're doing training with their team members and they would like to have the opportunity to go a little bit deeper in depth with new team members or seasonal team members. The knowledge base is a great place for that. So, James, I want to hear from you because you have been able to use the knowledge base a number of times over the last year. Can you share a story of a time that you were able to use the knowledge base?
One of the first times I used the knowledge base was with the barcode parsing functionality that you guys offer with your warehouse management system. And I was able to get into the knowledge base and search for barcodes, and the amount of information that I was able to find there and the simplicity of it was just amazing. It was reader friendly. It explained everything with enough depth that you could use it to assist in explaining it to someone else. And it went over all the different types of barcodes, how the parsings work, what they're used for, and it even went into detail on how the scanners actually see and read those barcodes. So, for that side of it, it was incredible to use for a first-time experience.
What would you say your process is when you have a question? Do you always go to the knowledge base first? How do you solve those challenges?
Any RF-SMART question that I have, I go to the knowledge base first. It's incredibly easy to use and user-friendly. It's very similar to a Google search where you can type in a correct question and get whatever answer you're looking for. It's my first go-to, and because of the extensiveness of the knowledge base, I've never had to put in support tickets with RF-SMART.
That is incredible that you've never had to put in a support ticket. I know that has probably saved you a ton of time, just being able to figure out those quick things on your own, which is absolutely the reason that our knowledge base exists. Of course, our customer support is excellent, and they're always willing to help and always ready and can answer questions, but sometimes it's just a little bit easier and a little bit faster for our customers. And so that is truly why we have the knowledge base. James, I am thinking for the people who are listening to this, they may want an example of how step-by-step you use the knowledge base. So could you walk through a question that you had and then maybe tell us how you answered that question using the knowledge base?
A recent issue I ran into was with a cycle count that we were doing, and I was getting a bin number error. And so I used the bin number error that I was getting from the cycle count, and I typed it into the search function in the knowledge base, and it let me know that I was having an issue with on-hand inventory that wouldn't allow me to approve that count because it would take my quantity to a negative number. So RF-SMART allowed me to complete the count and keep my inventory in the positive where it should be, and let me know that there were other errors that had to be fixed in our inventory system with just finding out what that error number went with the knowledge base.
That is amazing that you were able to just take that error number, search it in the knowledge base, and then have an answer to your question. How long do you think it took you to answer that question?
It took me about 45 seconds to get the answer and read through the answer and be able to go through and find the mistakes in our inventory system.
So, James, now that you are familiar with the knowledge base, I know that you have used a number of the articles, but are there other RF-SMART resources that you would recommend or that you leverage as you are continuing to learn about RF-SMART?
I use the webinars now. There's just a bunch of great resources that are available through the knowledge base and through the webinars that just allow so much knowledge and easy access to the knowledge to work with RF-SMART better.
Totally agree. I think that our monthly customer support webinar training is one of the most underutilized resources by our customers. We offer this training every single month as a way to stay up to date on features and as a refresh course on certain materials. And if you miss them, you can actually catch them on the knowledge base later, which is really, really helpful. And if you are looking for something and we've already had a webinar on it, simply searching and then being able to pull that webinar up and go through it and maybe step by step being able to solve your problem with a video is beneficial to our customers. So totally understand. What was the webinar that you listened to out of curiosity?
The webinar that I started with was stock accounting 1 and 2. They were held, I think, 3 weeks apart. And they allowed me to go through and without assistance from outside support tickets or utilizing NetSuite, allowed me to go through our system and initiate cycle counts in our system in RF-SMART.
Yes. Cycle counting is something that we get so many questions about. It is probably one of the most popular topics for our blog, for our website. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to make their cycle counts easier. And so definitely those support trainings, I would say at least once a year, if not more, there is a webinar about cycle counting because it is that important to our customers. So James, as we wrap up today, James, I would love for you to share why you would recommend using the knowledge base to other RF-SMART customers.
The knowledge base is just so easy to use and saves so much time that you really can't go wrong with it. Every experience I've had in there has fully answered all of my questions and provided more information than I ever needed to solve my issues.
Well, James, I totally agree with you on both of those points. Definitely the time-saving aspect of it, I just think is incredible to hear that you were able to solve that one challenge in just 45 seconds to get an answer. That's just incredible, and it is so easy to use. So I encourage all of you listening today to definitely check it out. Thank you, James, so much for being here today. A big thank you to Tuff Stuff Fitness. For those of you listening, if you have questions about the knowledge base, you can email info@rfsmart.com. We'll make sure that you can get connected and logged in. Of course, our knowledge base is for existing customers, so if you are not yet a customer, we can definitely answer any questions that you may have about RF-SMART through that same email address, info@rfsmart.com. While you're here, make sure you subscribe. You can subscribe on any of your favorite platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at our website, rfsmart.com/podcast. We have an email subscription there. This is our last podcast of 2021, and I wanted to say before we go, a big thank you to all of you who have listened this year and supported the podcast. It is always such a great joy and privilege of mine to be able to do this as my job. I am so thankful to all of our customers who make working at RF-SMART so great. I hope that you and your family have a safe and happy holiday. And with that, thank you. We will see you again in 2022.